Hi FlossTube, welcome back to Snickerdoodle Stitch. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch. If it's your first time here, welcome, and if you're returning, thanks for coming back. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for your comments and for coming and spending some time with me. I do read all of the comments. I've gotten a little behind on responding to them, but thank you so much. They give me a lot of inspiration, and I love when people share how they or someone they know has been stitching something that I'm stitching or something similar. It gives me a lot of ideas and inspiration for future stitching, so thank you so much. A couple housekeeping things first. This is the video where I will announce the winner for the sewing bee pattern from Erica Michaels. I'm giving away this pattern and a piece of twill tape, which I use to finish my sewing bee. And this was my sewing bee that's all finished. So I am going to put in the comments, or in the description, not the comments, I will reply as a comment to the person who won, and I will put in the description who won. It's actually Wednesday night and I'm filming this early because I need to go out of town for work for a day. So it's gonna make it difficult to film Friday night, which would be my usual time when I film, and I promised that I would do the drawing on Friday, so everybody should have their comment or their comment in that says sewing. If they're interested in winning this, they would have their comment in by Thursday, and I will draw the thing on Friday and add it onto the description for this video. So that was the first thing. Second thing, my title for this video says that I need some help with a Mirabilia. I need some opinions on fabric choices. So I'm actually going to get to that a little bit later, but I am going to do my first attempt at putting chapters in the video so that I will mark the point where the Mirabilia stuff comes up. If for some reason I'm not able to mark the chapters, I will have the timestamp in the description. Actually, it looks like just putting in timestamps is how you create the chapters. So hopefully it does create the chapters. If it doesn't, it'll be in the timestamp, but I'm really hoping I can get some feedback on some fabric choices. I'm gonna start with a couple of things that I've been working on. My FFO, and this was actually a previous FFO, but it was framed. It was framed like this. I had it in like an 8.5 by 11 kind of size frame. It had a piece of ribbon and lace in between. I can't remember, but I didn't have anywhere to hang that. Didn't really know what I was going to do with it, but I didn't want it just under my bed anymore. So I wanted my stitching where I could show it. I have collected mice since I was a kid, so I like anything with mice and combine the mice and the stitching. And I really wanted to be able to use this one. And let me hold it up a little closer so you can see it. This one I finished with rickrack. This one I finished with some chenille. The only thing I wasn't crazy about, there's actually some little loops of floss, and that showed up cuter when it was framed. I cut the fabric a little too close, and so by the time I stitched it, that doesn't have quite the same effect at the top, but that's okay. It's gonna go in one of my milk glass bowls somewhere to display. I don't still have the pattern for this, but I am pretty sure it was Leisure Arts. I can kind of picture the brochure that it was in. It was in a big book. And it had kind of a blue cover, if I'm picturing it correctly. It's been a lot of years ago. I think I stitched this in the early 90s. I think it actually had a date on it that said 94 maybe, but I cut that off. I did look on Leisure Arts site and I don't see this there. But I am almost positive that it was a Leisure Arts pattern. And looking at the Leisure Arts site, they have a lot of really cute stuff on there. And it looks like most things I have available as ebooks now. So since none of the big craft stores used to all carry Leisure Arts, and it doesn't look like any of them are carrying much in the way of crochet, cross stitch, any kind of books anymore. But yeah, they've got some really cute stuff. They've got over 700 patterns just for cross stitch on Leisure Arts. So that was a rabbit hole I didn't need to go down. I'm not supposed to be buying more patterns right now. We'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, so check out Leisure Arts site if you haven't been there in a while, because they did have a lot of really cute stuff. It's not the kind of older, out of style looking stuff like I think of in my head for Leisure Arts. The next thing I was stitching on this week was stitching Mends the Soul from Tiny Modernist. And I had started this for the mental health care SAL that the 614 Stitcher hosts. I didn't finish this in May. I had 2 pieces I started that month. And this I'm stitching on 32 count Grace Notes Blueberry Milkshake. And this is my piece. It will fit in a 5x7 frame. What is on there? It'll fit in a 5x7 frame when it's done. And what I finished was this arch at the top and these danglies with the buttons. I had part of the flowers done. And all I have left to do are some leaves up here, a tiny bit of back stitch and a couple of these spools of thread with this motif in the middle, and then the words that say Stitching Mends Your Soul. So I've been taking this to my dad's on Sunday when I go hang out with him. And I may be able to finish this in one Sunday. It kind of depends how long I'm down there and what other things I'm doing while I'm down there, or if we're just hanging out talking and watching the race and stitching. So one, maybe two more stitching evenings or days there, and this will be done. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep working on this, partly because I have it in a smaller pouch. It's kind of a mess. I have it in a smaller pouch, and I only have a few of this size pouches, and I need it. So I want to get this one finished so that I can put something else in that pouch. Although next weekend, 2 weeks from now, a week and a half from now, I'm going for a long weekend with some friends. We go and do a quilt retreat. It's this fantastic house. It has this huge room with all these big windows, and they've got long tables set up. So everybody ends up with like a 6-foot table, and there's stations behind you with ironing boards and some tables with cutting mats, and it's got a huge kitchen, and it's just fantastic. So we are going to go and do some sewing. And part of my sewing, I've got some pillowcases to finish for charity. I do want to do a quilt top. The last couple quilting retreats that we did, I didn't end up doing a lot of quilting sewing, but I do want to do some quilting. And I may also make a couple more project bags because I'm out of project bags. That means I'm not supposed to be kitting anything else up, but I already have kind of some piles of things ready to be kitted, meaning they are kitted, they're just sitting in piles. So I'm going to make a few more project bags, I think. This next piece that I worked on is from Cottage Needleworks. It is the Beach Boardwalk, the first Beach Boardwalk piece from the series. And this is on 36 count tabby cat. I'm doing it 1/2. I wish I had picked a fabric that was a little darker. It is blue. I'm not sure if you can tell or not. I thought I had looked at the houses and decided there wasn't much white stitched directly on the blue, but now I have found that there is some white stitched directly on the blue. And this is like a white wrought iron, let me see if I can get it to show up. Yeah, it's not going to show up right now. It's some white, like white wrought iron kind of chair things there with the umbrella. I don't have a lot left to stitch on this. I've got to stitch the ice cream up here, and there's some ice cream cones and a pennant and a couple clouds up here, and that's really it. I may have to backstitch this white furniture because it's not showing up. Another option to fix the problem of my fabric being too light is to take a pale blue, not this one. This one's a little too dark and it's a little too green. I don't have like the right blue in my stash. I'm gonna have to look when we go on our quilting retreat. There's a huge quilt fabric store right next door. But if I do this, if I mount this with batting behind it, I can put some blue fabric on top, and you can see it will darken up the, see how it's making it blue? I think you can see the shape of this when I put it in there. Like if I take it away, if I put it back. So I could do that, and then that furniture starts to pop out and you can see it a little bit better. See, there it is. You can see it there, I think. It's at a funny angle, but, and I may end up doing both. I may end up planning on a pale blue behind here just to blue up the fabric a little bit, and I may outline that furniture. There's some other weight up here that's hard to see. I'm less concerned about it because there's a lot more happening up there, but the furniture missing takes away from the piece. So I'm gonna have to do some repair on this one so that the weight will show up. But I'm loving stitching on the tabby cap fabric. It's my first time stitching on that. I think when we looked up, when I was at Stitch New Jersey, we were talking about it and trying to figure out where it was from, and I want to say it might be Denmark. But it's been nice to stitch on, and I'm enjoying the 36 count 1/2. I need to do some more in higher counts. I forgot how neat the stitches look with only one thread. They just are much daintier and neater looking. So I was stitching on that. And then this next piece, I was stitching this one. This one's out of season for me and not what I would normally do. But Garon Stitchery's designer focus of the month for July was Aury TM. And I already had the Gobbletons pattern and the fabric. So the only thing that gets stitched on here are these big Quakers, these Quaker turkeys. The pumpkin itself and kind of the greenish ground and the leaves in the background, those are all printed on the fabric. And so I did some stitching on this for July for the designer focus that Garon has. And let me show you how far I got. I made some good progress, but I made some modifications. So I've really finished all of this Quaker. This green motif right here, I need to put that in these spots. And then that one is completely done. And I've started a little bit over here. It was really because I had thread left over in that color when I was stitching on something. And I went ahead and used the rest of the thread that was on my needle. You will notice I decided I didn't want the turkey heads. So mine are not turkeys, they're just gonna be huge Quakers at the bottom. Since it is just a geometric shape, I was able to take the motif here and just put it at the top where it would be. And then, see, I've taken the head off and just put another motif in. And the same thing on the big turkey, I guess the male turkey on the other side. I won't put his head on. It will be one of these big orange flowers, is what, flower looking shapes is what would go up here. So mine will just be some big stitched Quaker motifs at the bottom instead of the turkeys. I just wasn't crazy about the turkeys. They're a little silly. If I had any kids that ever were around, I would maybe do the turkeys, but they just weren't doing it for me. The fabric is beautiful. I love this fabric. It's jobelan, and it is actually a dream to stitch on too. It's 2/2, and the thread just glides through it. It almost feels like stitching with silk, but it's just because the fabric gives such a smooth glide for the thread. So I actually, after stitching on this, I picked up some more white jobelan in 2 different counts to try out. I was still trying to figure out my modern folk embroidery, what thread and fabric I wanted to use. I wasn't happy with the coverage I was getting on the 18 count Ada, and I got 22 count Ada or hard hanger, and I really wasn't happy with that. So I did some stitching on Lugana. I did some stitching on 2 different counts of jobelan, and I think I have figured out what I'm going to be happy with. So I will have to get the fabric cut and on my scroll frame and get started stitching on that soon. It was planned for, I don't know what I did several hundred stitches on it before I decided that I wasn't really happy with it, and better to decide that then than after I got even farther into it. This last piece that I stitched on, and I didn't get as much stitching done as I thought I was going to. I had some issues this week. I was away at the scrapbooking retreat last weekend. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I got home and going through my mail discovered that I have been a victim of identity theft. So luckily I work in financial services, so I recognized immediately what was happening and knew how to deal with it, but had to wait until Monday when the investment firm was open for me to call and tell them that it was a fraud account in my name. And then just dealing with everybody that has to be contacted then. So credit bureaus and reviewing credit reports and just looking to see how much, what trouble they have been up to so far, and to take all the steps to block them from doing anything else. It just sucks up a lot of time. Anyway, I did get one more thing stitched on, and this is Madame Chantilly Notte Stelle, and it is stitched on Fabrics by Stephanie, Nantucket's Guide. This is the pattern. The quote is from Oscar Wilde, and it says something like, it's important to have dreams big enough that you don't lose sight of the goal or the pursuit or something like that. It is charted inside in French as pictured, in English, and I think in Italian. The third language isn't one that I'm familiar with. I know I can read French mostly, and then English, of course. But I got some good progress done on it. I had done the top down to about right here was done. So I doubled what I have done. I'm down into this long stem part here now. So almost finished with this whole left side, and then can start across. I'm probably gonna come down and then do the words, because that will be easier than just counting however many hundred stitches this is. It'll be easier to stitch the words, and then I'll only have to count off this to know where to stop the grass. So I would like to stitch on this a little bit more before summer's over. This was supposed to be my Stitching in the Wild retreat start and my summer stitch. And other than down there, this week was the only other stitching that I've gotten done on this. I've gotten a little bit distracted. So that's in my plans. And then the beach boardwalk, my plan for that one, I want to finish that house. I don't think I'm going to do, they've got a different house coming out each month for 7 months, and I am probably not going to stitch a house every month. It is a lot of stitches in those little tiny houses. Also, I'm not on like any kind of auto ship for the patterns or anything like that. I didn't want to pay shipping just for the pattern each month, so I will probably just pick them up as I see them in my LNS, or if I'm ordering something from 123 Stitch or wherever, then I may just add it on, add the patterns on as I see them. But I don't have any plans to stitch one house a month and try and keep up with that. But I am going to go ahead and finish this one. I'm calling them houses. They're really more like boardwalk stores or shops. But I do want to go ahead and finish this one and so that I'm ready for the next one whenever I do get my hands on it and feel like starting it. So my other plans for August, I want to finish the beach boardwalk. I'd like to do a little bit more on the Madame Chantilly piece. I may finish stitching Mends the Soul, so you might be seeing the same few pieces here again next week, but maybe not. I need to start my August section of Welcome to the North Pole from Primrose Cottage Stitchers for the stitch along that they have going on. I had June and July finished, and so now it's time for me to start August, so I want to work on that. And then Garon Stitchery's Designer Focus of the Month. They have a different designer focus each month, and it's worth checking out what the designer focus is. They discount the patterns, I think 10% in that month, and usually in the video right before the month starts, or maybe in the first week of the month, they will show on their floss tube the patterns that they have from that designer, and sometimes they'll show something they have stitched from it. Gary usually picks one and he stitches something from the designer for the first couple weeks of the month. So August is Hello from Liz Matthews, and I bought this pattern, I think it's StitchCon, and I just am dying to stitch this one, and it's not focusing very well. There we go. So I think I am actually going to go ahead and start this, even though I told myself I wasn't going to start anything else. I've got this, and I've got 2 Mirabilias and the Modern Folk Embroidery. I need to start reeling in these starts, but I really do want to start this one and stitch it some in August. So you likely will see a start on this at my next video. And then I looked ahead to see what September was for the designer focus, and it's Silver Creek Samplers, and I only have one pattern from Silver Creek Samplers, and it's this Kringle Flying Academy. Yeah, Kringle Flying Academy. I love this pattern. It's just silly and fun, but I don't think I want to stitch this in September. So September and October are really when I would be doing like my Halloween stitching, and even into finishing up some fall stuff. I have a Hello from Liz Matthews Autumn Quaker, which are like Quaker pumpkins, that I really would like to finish this fall. So I pulled this out, but I'm not sure I'm going to stitch it in September. I may skip that designer focus month. The next designer focus month that I really have my eye on was December, is Shepherd's Bush, and I got a couple of the Shepherd's Bush patterns, the Herb Gatherer, and I can't think of the other one. It's the Toy something, I think. They used to only be sold in kits, and they're larger pieces, and the kits were, I mean, they weren't pricey for what they were, but I didn't like the colors. They've always got a lot of dusty mauve and lilac and just some colors that, for me, they were never my colors. And now they're not my colors, and to me they look dated. So they just sometime more recently started selling those patterns without the full kitting, and I picked up the patterns, and I want to do some sort of color conversion because I love the design. I've always loved Shepherd's Bush. I have some Shepherd's Bush. I've shown some Shepherd's Bush on here. But the colors, I've got some limited places where those colors kind of work for me. And they're not colors that I'm drawn to. So even if I wasn't thinking, okay, I want it to fit in one of my color schemes in a room in my house or something like that, they're just not colors that attract my attention. But I love the pattern. So I definitely will do designer focus for December. Where am I at on time? Okay. I went last weekend to a scrapbook convention. I don't scrapbook, but I do mixed media, paper arts, and rubber stamping, and so there's a lot of overlap, and I've always gone to scrapbook conventions more because of my interest in other paper arts that overlap. But I found some cool stuff to use for stitching. related things. So I wanted to show those, but first I'm going to show, I took a couple classes, and this class we did the artwork. This was a plain cream colored journal, empty journal, and we did the artwork on it. And I want to use this for something stitch related, some sort of tracking or diary, or I'm not sure what. I have a handmade journal already that I use to track my my whips, just to keep a list of whips, and I keep a list of finishes by year. So I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but it was a class, and I like to take some of the classes to support the designers that are there. And the classes keep me from shopping too much, because then I'm in a class and I can't shop. So it's cheaper to take the class than not take the class. So I made that. And then at one of the vendor booths, because there's of course like a huge vendor section where it's just, you know, booths where they're selling things. But a lot of them do make and take. So they'll have tables off to one end, and sometimes they're free, sometimes they're $1 or a couple dollars, and usually it's a project that you sit there and within 10 minutes you're done and you go on your way. And the one vendor had just these cute little, so we made this, and I originally passed it by, and then the last day, it's kind of empty on the last day. A lot of people have left. I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? That would work to hold just a tiny little stitched piece. And actually, this would be easy to make in different sizes. So it's just a piece of balsa wood. Just to, you know, it's like a, I don't know, maybe 4-inch shape. We covered it with paper. So we just cut a piece of paper for the front, rounded the corners and glued it down. And then the clip is just one of these, you know, an office clip. And then we put this little flower and button on here. They didn't have many flowers left because I was doing it the last day. Some of their samples, the flower or the button or whatever, they had different things you could adhere, would completely cover the black part of the clip. So it was less obvious that it's a binder clip. But you could even make these in different sizes. So now I'm like trying to, I may be rooting around in Michael's or Hobby Lobby, looking at their like just thin balsa wood shapes. And I mean, it took us 5 minutes, less than probably, to make the little thing. And how cute would a little stitch piece be in here? So that was one thing we made. Then I bought some stuff. I was at one booth, and I don't know what you would do with these for scrapbooking because they would be kind of heavy, but I love Gorgeous Girls. So I mean, Gorgeous Girls is a brand, or not a brand. It's these. They're from Sanrio. We don't have them really here in the U.S. They are imported, but they're really popular in like the U.K. Or they were. I don't know if they still are. I have some fabric with Gorgeous Girls on it. But these would make, you know, zipper pull, scissor fobs. They only had one of this one left, so I bought it. They had a lot of these left, and I bought several because these were really cheap, and I have Gorgeous Girls fabric. So I want to do these as zipper pulls for some project bags. Gorgeous Girls is Gorjus. And they're always these kind of whimsical little girls. Let me see if I can get it without the glare. Their faces always look kind of like that. They have different color hair sometimes. These both have dark hair, but no, that's not gonna, I bet if I put it in front of my face, it will focus. There we go. So anyway, I got those little charms, And then I went a little crazy. This booth had these flat resin pieces. Again, I'm not sure what you do with these in scrapbooks, because to me they'd be kind of bulky, but some people's scrapbooks, they get really, they've got a lot happening on the pages. Like, I'm never sure how the book would actually close. But they had these cute little resin shapes. They were like 3 for $1. And I went a little crazy buying them and came home and made needle minders out of them. And you'll see why. They are really cute. These silly little, these funny girls over on this side. Then I think this might be an owl. I don't know, the thing with the big eyes are cute. You know, we've got some cats over there. Actually a Hello Kitty there. I can get a hold of it, a Hello Kitty here. There was even an, this isn't as flat, it's a little more three-dimensional, but it's still pretty flat. Oreo cookie. I love their little rubber ducky. And this Mickey is also a little more three-dimensional. He's not as flat. But yeah, all super light. More needle minders than I would ever need. So no, these aren't all for me, but now I've got some needle minders made up, good little gifts for people, stitchy friends, things like that. So they were fun. I actually went to that booth twice. I went once and bought some, and then the next day I was like, you know what, I think I want some more of those. And they had actually put some more into the bin, so I dug around some more to find some different ones. They were just in this huge tub with like 3 of these per bag, and they were in all these little bags. So you had to root through all these bags, and of course they were in there so that all you could see was the back, and I had to keep turning them around, but it was fun digging through anyway. And you know, I've got a whole thing full of needle minders here that cost me, I don't know, 10 bucks, maybe. So those are fun. Seeing those needle minders reminded me, somebody on one of, I think it was on one of the Zoom calls I was on, had a piece of banding, and they were actually stitching on the, they were actually stitching a design on it, and they were going to use it to display their needle minders. And I thought that was such a clever idea that I decided to do it, but it's not working for me. So they're fine like this, but if this thing like moves at all, you see what happens. They all stick to each other. Yeah, this isn't going to work for me. I'm missing something with this plan. Sorry, I would have left that down there, but I really don't want a bottle cap gouging. See, now I've got a mess while I'm fooling with this. Let me just put this down, because now it's all, you see what it's done. It's all like sticking in on itself. So I'm not sure. I thought that was a fantastic idea. I had pulled this banding. I was like, I'm gonna do that. That was a great idea. And it's not going to work for me. I'm missing something in the plan. So the other stuff I bought, somebody from Close to My Heart at their booth. Close to My Heart is, it's a multi-level company like Tupperware, Avon. You know, it's somebody that does home shows, that kind of stuff. But they have scrapbook and stamping stuff. But she had in her clearance bin these really cute packages of these really cute wooden tags with the stitching along the edge. And so I picked up a few bags of those because, again, I thought painted these would make really cute ornaments to put some finished stitching on, or yeah. So I picked up some of those. Those weren't too exciting. Then I picked up some Gilder's paste wax. So I took a class from Stamplistic is the company, and we were using this paste wax on paper, but as she was talking about the product, she said it was actually a commercial paste wax, and the company that makes it, their original largest customer was Things Remembered. So if you remember, those were the little kiosks that were, there was one in the middle of every mall in America, I swear. And it was where you went if you wanted to buy something that was personalized or had a date on it, because they had like all these things you could buy and you could pay to have engraving on them. So they were really popular for things like graduation gifts, maybe wedding gifts. I don't remember. I mostly remember graduation gifts, but I know they had a lot of other things there that wouldn't be graduation stuff. But anyway, if you went and you ordered something with a specific color or accent, I should say, they used this gilding wax is how they put that on there. So I did get a thing of this in silver. The biggest customer for the company now is frame shops. So if you have a frame that has any kind of, you know, raised bums, carvings, whatever, and it's highlighted with like silver or gold on the top raised part of the relief, they're using most likely this Gilder's paste wax. So I got a thing of this in silver. I'm going to do some more. I like the paper technique too, although the stuff smelled noxious. But I figured I can also use it on frames if I ever wanted, you know, just a hint of something metallic on the frame. That would work. So I got that. And then this, this has nothing to do with stitching, but it gave me an idea. This is just a paper cutter on, so this does have to do with the paper crafting, but it's just a swivel. It's like the kind of mechanism they put in a bar stool that will swivel, and they sell these in different sizes. This one's only like 4 inches, but it got me thinking about my daylight lamp, and the challenge that I had with it breaking. I have a new one coming from the company. They honored the warranty, but I'm worried that it's going to do the same thing. So my challenge with the lamp, if you didn't see my video where I reviewed several different task lamps, if I have it in front of me stitching and I want to move it out of the way so that I can stand up, when I move it, the joint that swivels is actually what like wore out. And I just got the lamp in December, so it's less than a year, and because that joint won't connect, the lamp won't turn on because something is not seating properly with that joint now. And I'm worried, even with the replacement, that I'm going to have the same problem 6 or 8 months from now. So my thought was, the lamp base is a perfect circle. It's about, I measured, I think it's like 10 inches, maybe a little bit smaller, round. And then it's just the 1-inch pole that comes up. And then that 1-inch thing also has the bendy part, so it bends over in front of me. But if I sit the base on one of these kind of swivel things, and they sell these in different sizes, I have like an 8 or 9-inch one coming from Amazon. If I put this underneath the base, then when I push that out of the way, the base will actually swivel instead of that joint swiveling. And I'm hoping, you know, by using a $10 part on the bottom, I can still have the flexibility that I want to be able to easily move that thing out of the way, but I won't risk damaging, you know, the $150 lamp. So I'll let you know how it works. It'll come next week. I didn't have it, I scheduled it to arrive next week since I'm going to be away for work tomorrow. So then the only other thing I bought, I went to Dollar Tree. I wanted some more foam core. Oh, I forgot my Mirabilia stuff. All right, let me finish talking about Dollar Tree, and then I'll do the Mirabilia stuff, especially since I'm going to bookmark it. Yeah. So I was looking for foam core. Dollar Tree has stopped carrying foam core. I actually talked to one of the managers, and they don't think they're going to get it anymore. But while I was, but Dollar General does have it, and it is only $1 at Dollar General. Don't know how long they're going to keep carrying it. It is the same label that was on the Dollar Tree stuff. It's the same manufacturer. So if that's why Dollar Tree's not carrying it, then Dollar General probably isn't going to continue much longer either. I only use that foam core for things like, you know, the foam core that I use here to hold up display pieces, or I used it to make design boards for quilt squares. I don't use it for my framing. I use acid-free foam core for that. But anyway, Dollar General. But while I was in Dollar Tree trying to find the foam core and looking to see had they just moved it, where the heck was it, they had some really cute little pieces that I picked up in there for possible finishing. So this one is actually really sturdy, and it's got hardware on both sides. The inside is like 4x4, but I thought, how cute would it be with a finished piece down in here? So that's my plan for this. So I was going to say $1, but Dollar Tree is now $1.25 for everything. So that's one thing I picked up. This is a little bit bigger. This is probably more like a 5x7. But it's another little tray that I thought would work to be painted and then have some kind of stitchy thing in the bottom. And then the third thing I picked up was this piece. This is actually black and white checked, like cotton fabric, like they used to make like woven tablecloths out of. I still have a woven tablecloth like that. So it's actually fabric on the back. It's really nice. And then the little chalkboard, but it's a different shape than, you know, it's about 7 inches long, but it's probably only, well, it's probably like 4x8, something like that. So it's an odd shape, and some of our stitching is odd shapes. It's longer than what a normal standard frame ratio, it's really a photo ratio, would have. So I like having some pieces that are longer in my stash for finishing. And then this one, for me, in my house, this would work all the time. But it'd be cute with Christmas or anything. I would probably take this twine off and do something different for the hanger. My house style isn't really like farmhouse or anything that you'd really have much twine around. But anyway, that was Dollar Tree. Now, the Mirabilia that I forgot, I can't believe I forgot it. This is actually my second time filming this. I had some minor disasters with my first filming and had to start over. So I have Princess Elliana. This is not the one that I need advice on, but I really want to stitch this. And I had bought this fabric at Stitch, New Jersey. This is from Needleworks Delight, although now they're called, the fabric line is now called Hand Dyes by Jim. And this is a 32 count Lugana that they dyed just for Stitch, New Jersey, and it's called Summer Breeze. And it is kind of the perfect mix of yellows, pinks, blues. These are the colors of Princess Elliana. There's a lot happening there. I had a $15 Michael's gift card that was about to expire. Or voucher, the rewards voucher. So I decided to just go ahead and buy all the floss since I know this project's going to take me a while. And a lot of it were those low number flosses, the 1 to 35, which I don't have all of those, so it was fine to just go ahead. So I have them for stash. But I don't think I am going to, I'm not going to use this fabric. This was my original intention, and this was what had me start down the Princess Elliana path, was this fabric. But then I made the mistake of, well, I was looking for fabric for the other Mirabilia. That's the one that I need some advice on. And I found this Ocean Tide from Fabrics by Stephanie. And it's actually greener looking than, oh, there we go. So, I'm so far back that I can't can't see. I actually think I'm gonna go really bright and do it on this fabric. There is a later section on the fabric up. Hang on, I gotta think which way she's facing. It's up. It's up here, actually, at the top. It's up in the roller, so her face will be up in a later section. But yeah, so Princess Elliana, I'm gonna start her. I don't know when, but she's all kitted up and ready. But the one that I need help with is Nightingale. So this is Nightingale. It's inspired by Florence Nightingale, which is why it's all the blues in her dress. I am not crazy about the khaki colored fabric that she's on. That's actually a warmer green, and I lean toward cool tones for everything. So I dug through all of my 32 counts looking for, I was pretty sure I would have something that would work. So this is one possibility. This is Fabrics by Stephanie Winterfell. It's the right blue. It doesn't clash with the blues that are in the dress, but it's also lighter or darker. Like the blue would show up on here. But that might be a little plain. So Winterfell is one possibility. The other possibility is Banshee. This isn't quite as brown in person. It has a lot of green in it and some blues. The blues are the more purpley blues like the dress has, so it pulls that out. So this is what I'm leaning toward. I did cut a piece out. This is the size, and hang on, I gotta get it going the right direction. This is the size and shape that it would be. So if I put her in the middle here, it's kind of like here. Her face would actually be over here, and this is a later section on the fabric, so her face and the lantern that she's holding would be in the light section. See, she's got that lantern. So I am leaning toward Banshee, but I'm not married to it. Yeah, it's not, I know I asked for advice and now it's looking really brown, and it's not really that brown. Not that that's a bad thing, if it is brown, because there's some brown and there's these yellowish, there are these golden yellowish colors that are in there as well. And there's quite a bit of that in, it's kind of in the edge of the dress. It's what the shading and the shadows in the dress are actually in kind of a gold and yellow color. The other possibility is doing something crazy like red. So this is Atomic Ranch jobelan. The colors look good on here, but I don't want it to come across like a patriotic piece, and that's probably my biggest concern with using the red. It would really pop and stand out on the red, but I don't want it to look patriotic. So when I pulled the Banshee out, I was really looking for a green that wasn't khaki, a green that was more, I want to say sagey, a green that was more on the blue side than what that is. That's more on the tan side of the green, but about that lightness, darkness. And the Banshee had the green I was looking for, but the way I have it folded up and stored on its end, I was just seeing one end, and then when I pulled it out, I was like, well, this isn't green. This is a lot going on in this piece. But then when I held the floss up with it, I thought, oh, but it's the right things going on in this piece. The blue is the same blue as these, and by same I mean it's not more green, it's not more purple, it is the kind of the same blue as far as the blend. The yellowish colors in here, pull out these. So that's how I ended up leaning toward this one, but I want some opinions. I tried Fabric Flair. I didn't have a lot of luck there. Like nothing really jumped out at me. There were some greens and blues that did, but not exactly right. I tried looking on Pinterest and Instagram and places to see what other people were stitching it on, and I think other than the model, I only found photos of one person that was stitching this. So if anybody knows of anybody on Instagram, Pinterest, anywhere, floss tube, that is stitching Nightingale, please let me know, because I desperately need some inspiration or some input. Or if you have a favorite of the fabrics that I showed or a different idea, let me know. I will say the only color that I won't stitch it on would be like a brownish color. I'm not really, it's just not a color that I'm drawn to. I lean toward the cool tones. So, but yeah, I would love some input on that, and I can't believe I forgot to mention that until the end of the video. It's been that kind of day. So anyway, I think that's everything for this week. So thank you for sticking with me all this time, and have a fantastic week. Have some fun stitching, and I will be back again next week. Thank you. Bye.